It wasn't until I looked upon the dozen red-skinned daemons in our way that I knew for sure I was following a fool. A fool who grinned from ear to ear at his prize beyond the wall of red death. A fool whose vision would be the death of us all. The fool's name was Oker Farforge, Rune's son of Dulin Farforge and the youngest of the Runefather's sons. And some would say, the least likely chosen to take his Runefather's title. His strength was not in question, for he could swing an axe almost as well as a Grimswrath berserker, but his temperament made him less of a guiding mountain and more of a falling stone, prone to random changes in mood. Thus it came as a shock to us all when he proclaimed he had a vision from Grimnir. A vision of a piece of Urgold unlike any other, with power beyond imagining. The Rune Masters proclaimed it a simple dream, but Oker would have none of it. He called out to any who would follow him. He proclaimed it a mission from their god. And many a young Fyreslayer followed, seeing in his words a chance to see a miracle. I had no plans to be one of those number. I feared no death and would lay my life down for the lodge, but I was old and had no urge to follow the visions of a hopeful king-to-be. His father changed that. As a rune father, he could have simply ordered me to watch over his son. But instead, he came as a friend I had known since I was a beerling we would craft toys on the blacksmith's anvil. A friend who now asked me to protect his fool of a son. And so, I followed. Followed as he led us against one foe after another in his mad quest, following a trail of clues only he could see. What started as 20 warriors soon became 14, then 9, and finally 4. 4 Duerden who, after months of searching, found themselves bloody and bruised and looking down upon a horde of daemons. We charged, Fyreslayer versus the soldiers of Khorne. Anheim Logsplitter died as 2 swords pierced his lungs, revenge for the daemon he had sliced with his axe. Urbitor Oricbane slew 2 daemons, the final one with a decapitating blow, before another daemon returned the favor. I fought 3, my body pushed to its limits as the creatures tried to rip me apart with every swing. The magic in my room was burning my flesh to protect me from the worst of their blows. Oker killed the rest. He was a master of death, his blows almost shattering daemons apart with every swing. His wounds only seemed to heighten his power. It was similar to the berserker rages of our people, but there was a wrongness to it. There was a pleasure in the killing that bordered on lust. It sickened me. Finally, when the battle was done, Oker ran towards his prize. Ignoring our dead, he shoved his hands into the mass of still-bloodied heads the daemons had been protecting. From it, he pulled out a skull that might have come from one of the monsters we had just fought, if not for the fact that it seemed to be made of pure gold. But I could feel it wasn't Urgold, the holy substance of our god. It was somehow tainted. Oker, skull in hand, seemed to finally notice I was there. With a victorious grin, he pointed the skull towards me, as if he expected me to share his joy, as if he expected me to bow at its power. All I felt was unclean. I could feel the corruption of the skull, its very presence trying to incite a terrible bloodlust within me. I knew it was a thing of chaos, and I knew, without a doubt, it was what had called Oker from the beginning. I am an old man, but I am not a wise man. Perhaps there was some magic words I could have said, or an insight I could have revealed that would have pierced Oker's chaos-tainted sight. If there were, I did not know them. All I had was a certainty that the skull could not return to the lodge. To do so would bring an end to our people, and to prevent that, I had only one thing I could do. As I tightened my hands around my axe haft, Oker sensed my intentions. His smile grew wider, wider than any Duerden lip should be able to go. He reverently laid down the skull and hefted his axe, screaming the mantra of a bloodthirsty god as he charged. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. I stood my ground, awaiting a coming death. Many weeks later, I returned to the lodge carrying the body of Oker. As I laid him down slowly in the throne room, his family looked upon his body with both sadness and acceptance in their eyes. His eyes moving from his son's body, the Runefather looked upon me and asked one simple question. How did he die? I could not lie to him, so I told him the only truth that mattered. He died fighting. Long ago, in the Age of Myth, Grimnir, one of the gods of the Duerden, fought a battle with Volcatrix, the mother of salamanders. In a battle that echoed across the realms, both entities struck fatal blows that shattered them utterly into innumerable pieces. In a brilliant burst of light, the mingled pieces of these grand beings were flung across the lands, crashing deep into the ground and coalescing into the mineral known as Urgold. Soon after the battle, clans of Duerden discovered these pieces of Urgold contained the essence of their great god, an essence that bestowed magical properties never before seen. Soon, using their natural skill at craftsmanship, the Duerden began experimenting. They found that by placing the Urgold upon their bodies, they gained tremendous powers that enhanced them to levels of strength and resilience far beyond that of normal Duerden. At first it was crafted into armor and weapons, but eventually, to maximize the effects of the mineral, it was embedded into their very flesh, the power of the Urgold streaming freely into their bodies. With such power, they became peerless warriors, able to fight foes undreamed of by most mortals. These clans of Duerden, naming themselves Fyreslayers, formed holes in the most volcanic and inhospitable places in the realms, and made it their life mission to search for more of this precious metal. The reasons were twofold. The first is that although Urgold is a miraculous substance, it is a finite resource. Eventually, Urgold dissipates as its magical energies are spent in the heat of battle. Secondly, it has become a religious ceremony. The search for more Urgold, a trial they must face to honor their god. Sometimes it meant digging into the depths of the very earth. Other times, it means working for those willing to pay for their services. Fyreslayers are known as the greatest mercenaries in the realms. Their skills and power even allowing them to survive in the Age of Chaos, fighting against the daemons and corrupted mortals that had destroyed so many other civilizations. If you promise them Urgold, they will promise to fight for you to the bitter end. This can cause issues as they will work for anyone, including the forces of chaos, if the price is right. All Fyreslayer communities are known as lodges, a close-knit group of Duerden who are united in their worship and praise of Grimnir. The heads of these lodges are the Rune Fathers, leaders who guide their people's actions in war and commerce, whether it be at the head of an army of Fyreslayers, or negotiating with a potential employer to try to get every ounce of Urgold from a deal. Waiting in his stead are his Rune Sons, commanders of his armies. They lead his people to war. It is their destiny to either replace their father when his time is done, or, if another is chosen, move on and establish new lodges in far-off lands. Advising their rulers are the members of the Zargrim priesthood. These rune smiters and rune masters use their connection to Grimnir to sense the presence of Urgold deposits, as well as unleash ever-bursting lava flows to burn away their enemies. All these leaders, if they prove skilled enough, can call upon a mighty magma droth as a steed. For though these beasts lost their god Volcatrix to Grimnir's hand, the ancient battle of the gods somehow formed a bond between Magma Beast and Fyreslayer that no force can unbind. However, no leader, no matter how powerful, can fight alone. The Auric Hearthguard wield massive magma spikes, destructive weapons that unleash goblets of lava at their foes. Whether it be the monsters that try to attack the fire temples they have sworn to protect, to the leaders of their grand armies in times of war. If the call to battle is sounded, you will see the battlesmith charging forward with metal banner held high, reciting past victories and inspiring surrounding Fyreslayers to heights of greater power. Fyreslayers such as the Hearthguard Berserkers, elite warriors chosen by the Runefather himself. They are the most skilled grouping of warriors in the lodge. Behind them are the Volkite Berserkers, the main bulk of the Fyreslayer forces, called upon to fight for the honor of their god and the protection of their home. But no Duerden in the Fyreslayer army can be said to have a higher connection to Grimnir than a Grimwrath Berserker. Avatars of their god's wrath, Grimnir's power fuels them to heights of destruction that no being can match. So much so that even if they should be dealt a mortal blow, they still somehow fight on, their rage preventing death from taking a hold until their enemy lies broken before them. To be a Fyreslayer is to endure fire and pain, to feel the essence of your god in your very flesh, and use it to strike down your enemies with axe and flame. Hey guys, this is Arvandus, and I want to say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these short stories / descriptions of various races in Age of Sigmar, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll keep doing it.
not only Age of Sigmar, perhaps other games that I have interest in. Anyway, thanks for listening and see you next time.